Hello, booktubers. This is the Scholar Gentleman, and here to talk about you. Here to talk to you about the latest book I've finished. I decided I needed a palate cleanser after my last book, so I thought I'd go for an anthology, a bunch of short stories. A Mountain Walk: Great Tales of the Cthulhu Mythos, edited by St. Joshi. Hold that up so you can see it. Freeze it if you want to. I've got little Funko Pop Cthulhu here to help me with this book report, I guess you could call it. For those of you who don't know H.P. Lovecraft's work, you can draw a straight line from Stephen King to H.P. Lovecraft all the way back to Edgar Allan Poe and all of their precedents and antecedents and all the people and their imitators and everything else. Thing about you need to know about Lovecraft is humanity does not matter. Human endeavors do not matter. We live in a cold, indifferent universe governed by vast, incomprehensible intelligences that we can't possibly countenance, comprehend, etc. And a Lovecraft story usually has a scholar or something like that seeking forbidden knowledge, and he pursues that knowledge, arcane, mystical knowledge. He pursues that knowledge until he goes insane, or he gets a little tiny glimpse of the knowledge that he was seeking, and it drives him insane, and the world ends. And yeah, they are ancient elder cosmic creatures that cults are, esoteric cults are trying to raise them up or increase belief in them so that they can come back and have it be the way they were back when they ruled, way back in prehistoric times, like before the dinosaurs and whatnot. But yeah, H.P. Lovecraft he's a genius at bringing you in. He might seem like a ponderous read at first, but you start reading him, and the dry, scholarly prose slowly draws you in and paints a picture that before you know, it's like the frog in the cooking pot, slowly having the temperature brought up around it. It's way too late before you realize that you're creeped out when you're reading his stuff. Now, the first Lovecraft story I ever read as a kid was in the Mouths of Madness when I was a teenager. It might have been a little too dry and a little too long for me to fully appreciate the time, but I have a Lovecraft. I have a complete works of Lovecraft book in my e-reader here on the phone, and I've been slowly chipping my way through it. I have not read Lovecraft. I have not read all of Lovecraft's work. I'm slowly chipping my way through it. The thing about Lovecraft is he invited other writers to play in his playground. So you have proteges of Lovecraft, you have pastiche people of Lovecraft, and you have people like in this book who take the concept, the unease of Lovecraft, and they use it as a springboard to basically create their own nightmares. And I read this book, and overall, it was excellent. I have to say, a lot of good creepy stuff in here. But there are two stories that really stood out for me. As you can see, I took off the stories that I really enjoy. But one was Anasazi by Gemma Files. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Where it all makes sense, and an ancient force is coming to the fore, but it happens so slowly and it happens so gradually that by the time it's here, it's too late to do anything about it. And insanity has ruled the day. The unthinkable is reality. And like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's a perfect example of how Lovecraftian prose will creep up with you. But my favorite story here was I guess these two of these could The Black Man with a Horn by T.E.D. Klein, and my all-time favorite story in this, The Last Feast of the Harlequin. I'll start with that one first, by Thomas Ligotti. Again, a scholar tried to do research on a paper on a very, very ancient carnival ritual. What's the word I'm looking for? That a certain town does. Oops, I'm very precariously lodged up against my comic boxes here. I don't want to like touch anything else that's going to fall. But yeah, he's doing research on this town that has like a weird sort of carnival with a harlequin faces with a smiley, like it's almost like Carnival in Italy. There's a sort of a clown element to it, a disguise element, but it's like folk horror. It's like, it's right around Christmas. It's unlike anything that you've ever seen in the United States or coming from the old country. So this guy basically decides to do a paper on it, and he does research on it, and he finds this old instructor whose zeal to teach he admired once upon a time. And then he comes across his teacher in this town, and his teacher looks kind of, well, aged and despondent, really. And he can't figure out that mystery as he's slowly learning about this feast, this ancient ritual, that he can't seem to get a grasp on. Where does it come from? What does it do? But I know I'm probably not explaining it very well, but again, it's an expert in slowly drawing you in. And you're with him as he gathers all of his facts, and he goes to the town, and then he decides to like take part in this weird carnival, and he gets to see beyond the surface trappings of the carnival. So, oh, where are these people in the van going? I'm going to hop on that van, pretend I'm on one of the revelers. And he goes, and then he sees part of the ritual that he really wishes he hadn't. And this whole story is basically it's a treatise on depression and feeling like an outsider. Horror stories are all about, you have your main plot right here. On the surface, it's about this, but underneath it, it's really about this. And in this case, it's about alienation. It's about depression. It's about imposter syndrome. Basically you're sort of existing in a society that says you should be happy when you clearly are not happy, and you just basically feel separated from everyone else around you who seem to have it figured out. But that was my, that one really hit home. So I'm going to explore the works of Thomas Ligotti even further after I get done with the current book that I'm reading. The one before it, The Man with the Horn, it deals with a thinly disguised protege of Lovecraft, and he finds himself slowly but surely getting slowly sucked into a Lovecraftian type of tale. And the thing is, his own, being a writer, his own works have been subsumed. Lovecraft is sort of a character in the story. His works are a character. This particular writer finds his own work overshadowed by Lovecraft, because this guy is I guess you could call us. He had a few things published, and the really successful ones were pastiches of Lovecraft. And of course, he's not seen of as his own type of writer. He's existed in Lovecraft's shadow. So that kind of bothered him, and then he finds himself inside of a Lovecraft story, and the creeping, incomprehensible evil that's slowly stalking him is pretty much, had the story continued to 2 or 3 more pages, it would have been there, put it that way. But that's the great thing about Lovecraft. He never directly shows you the evil, and if he does, he really builds you up to it. He lays the groundwork. He lays so many steps for you to get there. You're just, oh my God. But most of the time, Lovecraft shows you just a glimpse of it, just a tiny little glimpse. He's all about odd angles and incomprehensible evils. He also has created a pantheon of elder, I guess you'd call them old ones, elder gods that used to rule our reality before us shaved apes dropped out of the trees. Chief among them is Cthulhu, who apparently is in our reality. He's at the bottom of the ocean, sleeping in the sunken city of Ryla. And of course, there's a couple of stories in Lovecraft's canon that deal with resurrecting Cthulhu and having him basically usher in the age of the old ones again. Whether or not you've known it, you're familiar with Lovecraft's work because his stuff shows up in fiction quite a bit in popular culture. One example is The Color Out of Space, with starring Nicolas Cage. It's a good adaptation of a Lovecraft story. It really captures the evil you cannot really place, the strangeness, the alienness you can't really place or put your fingers on, but it's there and it's affecting everything. The movie captures that perfectly, how things are slowly going wrong, but you would have a tangible way to reverse it. Color Out of Space. What else? I would also recommend you see John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Very Lovecraftian. It's not based on any of his works, but it's very Lovecraftian in the sense that there's an ancient evil just beneath the skin of reality, looking to get out. The more people believe in it, the stronger it gets. Stars the great Sam Neill. Also, believe it or not, Ghostbusters has a little taste of Lovecraft in there with the ancient god Gozer, who again is trying to force its way into our reality, but it's all hidden within the comic stylings and the smartass comments from our fellow Ghostbusters. So yeah, that's a heavy borrowing from Lovecraft right there. So yeah, if you want to be creeped out considerably, check out Lovecraft. You can easily get his books online or his complete works online for like pennies on the dollar, and just start giving them a go. I would recommend for his greatest hits all in one short story, Shadows over Innsmouth. Again, you have someone looking to research his ancestry, goes to this Massachusetts town, Innsmouth, that everyone seems to shun, but nobody knows why. The people look weird, they look deformed, nobody knows why. And I'll just leave it at that. And you slowly get drawn into that. And that should give you all of Lovecraft's greatest hits if you read that story, and then you can decide whether you like it or not. So I greatly enjoyed this book, and when I'm in the mood when I'm in the mood for nihilism and hopelessness, Lovecraft is the place to go to. Sort of like a literary equivalent to Leonard Cohen, I guess you could say. Anyway, good talking to you. Speak to you soon. Have a good one. Cthulhu loves you. Bye.